Republican House Intelligence Committee and supported this memo. He's very convinced that there is something concerning here. Listen.
Purpose of this memo, it even has the heading, FISA abuses, the Foreign Intelligence Surveillance Act abuses, is to focus on the issue that campaign-funded materials from the Hillary campaign were used to obtain FISA warrants against members of the Trump campaign who were affiliated with the Trump campaign. And that's what's inappropriate. And it doesn't matter if you're a Democrat or if you're a Republican. That goes to the crux of really why this memo is sent out and why it should be part of the debate. Never should we be in a situation where campaign-funded material are used in this way as evidence in a court.
Tom, do you agree with what he's saying there?
Well, I would agree that that should never be the sole basis of anything, whether it's rumors or newspaper articles or radio broadcast or informant information. That part's true. But the problem in this case is we don't know what else was used in the FISA application, and we certainly don't know what was used in the 3 extensions, which would have required additional information and evidence obtained from each preceding wiretap period, which were 90 days apiece. So we don't know that. The other problem with this is people can criticize that this is executive management. I can tell you, I read hundreds of criminal wiretaps and about a dozen FISA applications. Those affidavits aren't written by an assistant director or deputy director or anybody at that level. The final approvals for submission, yes. But they're prepared, the evidence, the investigation, the informant contacts, the street surveillance, all of that information is compiled not just by street-level FBI agents and analysts within the office and clerical personnel, but other members of the intel community, because the Carter Page investigation started in 2013 based on his contacts with people known to be intelligence officers of Russia. That had
Which was
nothing to
obviously
do with
well
Trump.
before the Trump campaign
It was
even
well
came to
before
be.
Trump. But what I'm saying is that to say that this was wrongdoing, and it may be, however, it would have had to be about 40 or 50 people in the FBI and Department of Justice before it got to assistant or deputy director or director level and the same rank equivalent at the Department of Justice. So to say that a couple people on the 7th floor messed up is not adequate. It's not accurate.
James?
Disagree with you completely, Tom, and here's why. You can't look at the FISA application in a vacuum. You have to look at it with the totality of the circumstances. You have to look at the text messages between 2 FBI senior-level employees. You have to look at some of the dubious decisions that, I'm sorry, Andy McCabe made, and some dubious decisions that were made involving the Hillary Clinton email investigation, as well as the beginning of the counterintelligence into the Russian meddling investigation into our elections. You put all those together, there were serious things that were done that need to be looked at. Now, I'm comfortable with the Office of the Inspector General doing that, but to say that if you argue that the FBI senior executive level ranks made some mistakes here, that's you're attacking the FBI, or that's not factually accurate, that's not true. I'm comfortable with that 3.5-page memo being what it is, knowing that there's a rebuttal, and I'm comfortable with the FISA application process. I'm not comfortable with all the other things that went into it. I didn't look at this in a vacuum.
Well, this is not the way to bring about any kind of internal investigation in the FBI, the way it's been done in this manner. It should go appropriately to the IG. It's already probably under investigation by the Inspector General Office and probably by the Mueller investigation. So to do it by a war of memos is not appropriate, I don't think, which is what we're going to have now, especially when the FBI is put in a position that it can't defend itself without divulging additional classified information. So I would agree that the current memo does not divulge sources and methods, but any defense of the FBI based on the accusations of the memo would require that, especially going back to, we don't know the predication, which began in 2013, which could have come from the CIA, it could have come through the Legat office in Moscow or London or Washington, involved other members of the intel community who may have classified part of this information of what led to the Carter Page investigation. And that information, the FBI wouldn't even be in a position to declassify it. The other agency that originated it would have to. So I'm just saying, we're not in a position to really find out the accurate facts of this case based on how this was put out and what it would take to defend what was put out.
Do you believe that there is any criticism warranted here for the membership of our senior executive ranks over the course of, let's say, from... Okay, that's fair.
Absolutely.
All right.
And I said that before. And if they knowingly... No, I agree.
It's painful for you had a distinguished career. I spent 25 years doing this stuff. It pains us to talk about it, but I think if the American public doesn't hear people like us, analysts, that don't just come out and put a rubber stamp on things and say, we can disagree with this, but we can also see issues here. And I trust what you just said. The Office of the Inspector General at the Department of Justice will get to the bottom of that.
And they are working on it. Gentlemen, thank you both so much for providing that insight and expertise and your thoughts and perspective. I really appreciate it. Still to come. The Dow taking a major hit just yesterday. Look at that. This is how it all ended. The worst day for markets in the Trump presidency. Our Allison Cossack's going to break down how this happened next. You're live in the CNN Newsroom.
Friends, colleagues, gathered here are the world's finest insurance experts. Rodney, mastermind of discounts like Safe Driver, Paper